What's up, everyone? Cody Dean here. Wanted to take a moment to talk to you about your past and how your past has a magical way of influencing your life, and how you actually can use your past for your benefit. A lot of people have a past, right? Everyone has a past. I don't even know why I said a lot of people, but everyone has a past. Everyone has gone through something that they're proud of. Everyone has gone through things that they're not proud of. Everyone has gone through things that they wish did not happen. That's what I'm really getting at here. And it's really tough because, it's painful. Your past is painful. And it's challenging and it's tough and it's not glamorous. But your past has a benefit. Your past has a purpose. And that's what I want to talk about today. I was talking with my parents yesterday, with my mom, and we were talking about my goal creation journal. You guys should go get it at goalcreationjournal.com. If you're watching the video here, you can see it. But in the Goal Creation Journal, one of the things that I have people do, there's 4 sections for every week. So you have first page, second page. The third page is all about God, gratitude, and lessons learned. And so every day, at the end of the day, you take a second and you take some time to reflect on, what did I learn today? And this is one of my favorite parts of the Goal Creation Journal, and I'm surprised I didn't put it in any of the older versions of the Goal Creation Journal. Here's an older version of the Goal Creation Journal here. It's the spiral bound one. But this is my favorite part of the new Goal Creation Journal, the hardback, professionally bound one, is the time that I put in there. So I put in the opportunity for people to take a second to reflect and think back. What are the lessons that I learned today? And the reason why I did this is because I was speaking at a convention. I had a speaking engagement, and one of the people during the Q&A section, they asked me, so I've done these goals before, I've done these to-do lists, and I always get overwhelmed. I always get super, I have so many things that I want to accomplish, but I just can't accomplish them all. And so why should I use your Goal Creation Journal? Why should I use the creation formula? It's going to make me feel overwhelmed. Now, if you've been following me, I'm a big believer in patterns. And if you start thinking here like past patterns, and you can start saying, oh, this is how it all connects. I told this lady, hey, if you are not able to get everything done in a day that you want to accomplish, the question that you ask at the end of the day is why? And what did I learn? So you say, why did that happen? Why did it happen that way? Why did it happen the way that it happened? Why was I not able to accomplish everything that I did? Why did I get pulled over? That's one of my memories that I just really am upset about. I was driving from Louisiana to Utah, because we were living in Louisiana, moving back to Utah, and I was driving through Texas, and we took a little stop in this podunk town, and my car was just full of all this stuff. And I get off into the road, and so I take a left turn, and I'm in the middle of the median, and I just start speeding up, and I start going, and I'm leaving the town, and the speed limit starts getting faster and faster and faster, and I remember I got pulled over. And they're like, oh, you were speeding. I was like, I was speeding up to get out of here. But they positioned it in such a way, it's like a speed trap. And I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I got taken advantage of. I feel like I was manipulated, all those things, all those feelings, and other experiences in my life, Anyway, I digress. And you have to ask yourself, why did that happen? So if I wasn't able to accomplish everything I did, or something happened to me, why did that happen? What happened, or what could I have changed from that? And here's the thing. So when it comes to the past, you cannot change the past. A lot of people say this, and the past is past, and you can't change it, so don't worry about it. But people end up worrying about it. The past is important because you can change the past. You can change it. And there's a lot of people in politics now that are trying to change the past, and that's all I'll say in that. But when you look at your life and you say, hey, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to forget what happened. I'm just going to forget, I'm going to just forget that I got pulled over by that cop in that little podunk town in Texas. I'm going to just forget that I didn't get everything done today because it's going to make me feel better about myself. It's going to make me feel better because I'm not going to remember it. Now, here's the thing. You will still remember it. The scars that are there are going to become subconscious. And even though you don't think you remember it consciously, your subconscious is going to remember it. And maybe it may not remember that specific moment, but it will remember the pattern that has happened. And that pattern will just keep continuing over and over and over again. The great quote, "Intelligence is the ability to perceive patterns," by Isaiah Berlin or something like that. Intelligence is the ability to perceive patterns. And so why is it important to look at the past and to remember the past consciously? It's important to remember the past because you're able to see patterns that happen in your life. It's important to look in your past so that way you don't repeat the same patterns. There's this graph that shows as our memory, as time goes by, our memory decreases, right? Like our conscious memory decreases. Like if I ask you, what did you eat yesterday for breakfast? You could probably remember. But last week, unless you eat the same thing every day, it's going to be really difficult to remember. A year from now, it's impossible to remember unless you have something to trigger that memory, which is important. But what's interesting is as time goes on, our memory fades. But as time goes on, what we do in the past creates our present. It creates our future. And so it's interesting. It's this paradox of you lose your memory over time. You forget what you did in the past over time, but what you got today was created by your past. And so many people, they're living their life, they're like, wow, my life is great. And then 1 year later, their life is falling apart because they don't realize, hey, where you got 1 year ago, where you were was because of what you happened 2 years ago. And where it happened in the present happened because of 1 year ago. And so people forget about how they got to where they are. And that's why I love the section in the Goal Creation Journal, which I tell people to reflect back on their lessons learned. Hey, what did you learn in this day? What are you learning? What do you feel God is teaching you? Last episode of this podcast and the show, the Cody Dean Show, was all about building 360-degree awareness, right? And it's hard to build your awareness. So I was going to say, if you have this lesson learned section every single week of these things that you've learned, you can actually go back and be like, oh, I remember that. I remember that. And those little triggers in your mind, they can bring back to remembrance, and then you can start seeing patterns, you can start seeing things that have happened to you, and you can ultimately learn from the past. But if you delete the past, you're never going to remember it again. And you're going to just repeat the past in the aspect of you're going to have that pattern. And you won't be able to, when I say remember, it's like you won't be able to improve past a certain point. So it's this paradox. But the creation formula is the answer to, number one, fixing your past, because you can visualize, and I teach this in my vision success course. You can visualize the past, and you can see it as it happened, and then you can start seeing what patterns there are. Then you can start visualizing the present, and then you start visualizing the future. And those visualizations are super important for you. So that's it for you guys. Again, I would love it if you want to support me, support the show, support your own life. Go get the Goal Creation Journal at goalcreationjournal.com. Start creating the life that you want. Start creating more abundance, success, and freedom in your life. I'll see you guys on the next show and episode.